Hello, my name is Dr. Julian Langa, and I'm speaking to you from the Ojai Valley in Southern California. At the moment it's an overcast day, which is unusual for the month of June. Normally it's sunny and rather hot. But this is where I and my wife, Susan Langa, hold our transformational life and birth patterns workshops. And the environment here is really suited for this particular kind of work, which I think all of the past participants would readily attest to. Everyone that has come to the workshop really takes a delight in the opportunity to spend 3 days here in this lovely valley. And also, it's an interesting coincidence that the word Ojai is a Chumash Indian word, which means, pardon me, Valley of the Moon or Moon's Nest. And that this is an area where the Chumash women would come to deliver their babies. Something that is entirely coincidental from our perspective, but rather suitable. In any case, the reason I'm here is to answer the question as to why anyone would want to take the birth pattern, life pattern workshop, and what the principles of the workshop are. It's a big subject and difficult to explain, and I think that most folks would agree that sometimes the most profound experiences we can have or do have are very simple, but when you get into dissecting them and taking them apart and figuring them out, that it can't be done, it's too complicated, there's too much information, and it kind of spoils the experience. So I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail, but I think there are some important things that help to clarify the purpose of the workshop and the principles on which it's based. Now, I'm a doctor of Oriental medicine, as is my wife Susan. We're both doctors of Oriental medicine. And our background is specifically Chinese medicine. We practice acupuncture. And Chinese medicine and Oriental medicine concerns itself with the body's energy. It sees the body as an energetic event, an event of energy, in addition to a circulatory, metabolic, biological event. The main difference is that between Chinese medicine and Western medicine, or conventional medicine, is that we primarily address and minister to the body's energy. The idea being to balance the energy, and when that occurs, then symptoms will begin to resolve, people will feel better, perhaps even heal. So this is our background, our basic background. And in Chinese medicine, the idea of birth and a person's life, as to when a person's life begins, Chinese medicine holds the point of view that that life actually begins at the moment of conception. So that the Chinese medical theory is that when you're born, you're already 9 months old, and that you've had 9 months of experience traveling in the womb of your mother, who lives with, usually, your father. And that the experiences your mother has influence or affect what you experience within her womb. And the quality of the relationship between your mother and your father and other individuals who are in close proximity living with your mother and your father, perhaps your older siblings, or perhaps a grandparent, that that relationship that your mother has with those individuals influences her, has an effect on her emotionally, psychologically, perhaps spiritually, and that via your mother influences you. And that during the whole period of gestation, everything in your mother's environment that makes an impression on your mother makes an impression on the infant she's bearing. So we in Chinese medicine take this for granted. This is part of the fundamental theory of Chinese medicine, and the whole experience, the in utero experience of every individual influences the quality of their energy and the kind of constitution they will manifest in their adult lives. So you have the period of gestation, and then you have the period of actual birth. Now, for a little one, what is going on at the time of delivery is immense. And for all of us, each individual, you listening and watching this video at this very moment, one of the greatest events of your life, and possibly the greatest event of your life, was your own delivery. Why do I say this? Because there are some very, very powerful forces that come to bear upon each of us at the time that our mother begins to labor and the contractions set in and we finally travel down the birth canal and enter the world we all inhabit now as born humans. If you think about it, which you have likely never done, it really is quite a significant experience. The contractions traveling through that tiny little, birth canal, and then arriving in the world, which is no longer a fluid-filled world, but a world of air and sharp edges and gravity and solid matter and things moving around in the environment. Now, what I've just described is a fairly possibly normal birth that might take place in perhaps the home of your parents, or at an older time in our history in nature. When you think about what occurs in the delivery room, when your mom is surrounded by the medical staff, the obstetrician, perhaps your father will have been there, it's quite a different event. There are medical events that occur. And even during the process of pregnancy, the experience of pregnancy, there can be medical interventions, examinations that look at the health of the developing baby. And what I'm saying is that all of these experiences make a very, very deep impression upon the individual that's having them. In other words, the infant, the baby, the newborn, you, when you were first born. And we, at that time, are, not very sophisticated. Now, as an adult, we have lots of accurate perceptions about what's going on in the world around us, what the intent of others is towards us generally. We can make assumptions that the world is a safe place. We know how to create safety generally for ourselves. We know how to take care of our needs. All of these adult skills that we learn as we grow to adulthood. But as an infant, we have none of that. We are basically a blank slate. And our experience has been one of development within the watery, warm, soft, nurturing confines of our mother's womb. And obviously there are going to be some variations on that based on the experience your mother's having while she's pregnant with you. But we enter a world which is radically different. And the experience of that entry can be extreme and traumatic to the little one. The little one's senses can be overwhelmed. The little one's ability or sense of safety can be overwhelmed. And though we'd all agree that we know that infant is safe and welcomed, it may not be having that experience. Particularly when there have been complications in the delivery. And, from ones that we regard as perhaps routine, such as cesarean section, or having to be induced, to more complicated, life-threatening situations. What occurs is that within the, I'm reluctant to call it by this phrase, but let's use the expression primitive psychology of the infant, is an understanding that the world operates in a certain way. And as this infant is having these experiences, it begins to develop strategies about how to live life, how to stay safe, how to be comfortable. And these strategies are very deeply impressed upon the unconscious mind and perhaps conscious mind of the newborn. And that newborn, as it grows and develops through infancy, into childhood, adolescence, adulthood, maturity, those strategies continue to operate. And until the person has some sort of aha moment, one way or another, we all continue to operate with these immature survival strategies. Now, I want to emphasize that these strategies have probably done us a lot of good, but there comes a point in all of our lives as we mature when they no longer serve us, and we have to mature beyond them. And some of these strategies can have developed within a very short period of time from the experience of the adult in the delivery room. Say forceps. They may be applied for only a brief minute, perhaps less, perhaps a bit longer, just enough to assist that child to exit the birth canal. But what happens is that because that event is so extreme and it has such a penetrating impression on the nervous system, that becomes an experience which that individual will interpret the world through for the rest of their lives. The birth pattern, life pattern workshop is a 3-day experience with a limited number of participants. On day 2 and day 3, the maximum number is 6. So, and it is entirely an experiential workshop. Day 1, the participants are given more information. It's more of a didactic agenda. But day 2 and day 3 are entirely experiential. And every individual gets close attention during those 2nd and 3rd days. And what my wife, Susan Lange's skill is, and she has a gift. I say that even though I'm her husband, but I really objectively have to say she has a gift, an ability to establish an environment with all of the participants wherein each individual will have a specific time when those birth experiences, gestational experiences, shortly after delivery experiences, are given an opportunity to be unraveled. Each individual has an opportunity to unravel and liberate themselves from the strategy which their young, immature minds created in order to make sense of that time in their lives. That strategy which every individual in the workshop knows is no longer serving them. And the experience on day 2 and day 3 is generally very profound. It is can be a sublime experience of liberation and joy and a unique epiphany. I think for every attendee that has participated in one of the workshops, it has been a life-changing experience and one they will never forget. I realize that I'm actually saying something pretty strong, but I really do believe that. And I think at this point it'd be appropriate to say that Susan Lange's skills, a little bit about her background and her skills. She was born in the Far East. Her parents were European, though her mother was from Hong Kong and her father was from what was known in those days Ceylon, now Sri Lanka. Her grandmother taught her yoga as a girl, as a teen, and in her early 20s she was already exposed to Chinese medical philosophy. She was receiving training from a Chinese medical doctor in Hong Kong. And then she was educated in Great Britain, where she eventually attended a formal training in Chinese medicine and became a acupuncturist. Did further training here in the United States, got her doctorate here at Emperor's College in Santa Monica, California. No, at California Acupuncture College in Westwood, California. And she also is trained as a core energetics therapist, which is a form of body psychology. She's a Barbara Brennan healing science graduate and a biodynamic cranial sacral therapist. She brings a lot of skills to the birth and life pattern workshop, and all of these skills are applied. So she has a unique ability to establish an environment for people to experience, to relive and to relive some element of their gestational or birth or neonatal experience in a way which allows them to reintegrate that experience into the adult psychology. And it has a profound effect on everyone that's ever done this workshop. Having said that, this is not a workshop for, well, let's rephrase that. This workshop is best for people that feel that they need to find a shift in their life, that they feel they need to experience a breakthrough in order to come up to a higher level in their experience, or to perhaps break out of a place of stagnation and feeling stuck in their lives. So the workshop can be attended by someone who's curious and just wants to kind of check it out. For the most part, the individuals that will get the most benefit from it are the ones who feel a need in their lives for some sort of a change. We've had all sorts of people attend the workshop: psychologists, health professionals, moms, and grandmothers. All sorts of people. Accountants, attorneys, students, the whole gamut. And as I said, everybody has a positive experience and positive things to say about it. The workshop is a very nurturing experience. It is one that people have a feeling of safety within. It's a comfortable experience. It can be strong, it can be powerful, but it isn't overwhelming. Everyone that participates in the workshop participates within what's called their own doable range of activity. So a lot of workshop type of experiences that are available in the world tend to insist upon a high degree of catharsis or risk and things of this nature. And these obviously have their place and definitely are beneficial. But this workshop doesn't approach the situation from the same point of view. This workshop is more concerned with the nurturing of an individual, and Susan doesn't come in with an agenda for each participant. She nor I do not take the point of view of having studied the questionnaires and figured out what this person needs. It's not how it works. The workshop is propelled by a sense of discovery. There's a sense of adventure, and it's fun. So, if this interests you, and if you look down further in, if you go deeper into the site, the website that you're viewing this video on, you'll see some testimonials, you'll see some photographs. We may have a video of a participant or two talking about their experience. Go ahead and explore the contents of the site, and if you are interested, don't hesitate to send us an email or telephone us, and we'll get a questionnaire to you. The frequency of the workshops depends on demand, so we tend to organize a workshop when we have got a critical number of people that are wanting to sign up for it. And as I say, the numbers are limited to 6 for day 2 and day 3. Those 6 participants do participate in day 1, but day 1 we allow in more greater numbers because, as I've already said, that day tends to be more informational, more educational. But day 2 and day 3 are days in which there's a very individualized level of attention for each of the participants. So we do limit it to 6. But it is possible to come to day 1 before coming to a workshop where you'll attend days 1, 2, and 3. So as I say, don't hesitate to contact us. We'll get a questionnaire to you. We'll review the questionnaire. There'll be a little interview to make sure that it's all appropriate. And it'd be a pleasure to welcome you and to have you participate in the Birth and Life Pattern Workshop. And I look forward to seeing you there. Susan looks forward to seeing you there, if that's appropriate for you. Thank you.